Hello there, my name's Jack, the snack that smiles back. Welcome to Mick. Today's video is all about asking, who is the a-hole? Are they a-holes? Are they not? Does everyone just suck? Only one way to find out. Now remember, if you enjoyed today's content or have a blast, like the video so you can help out the channel. But let's not dilly-dally any longer. It's time to sit back, relax, grab your favorite cup of tea and your best Spotify background music playlist, and let's get started with the stories. Our first story has an update, so don't be surprised if you've already heard this one. It begins as so. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law to leave our family gathering after she broke boundaries? I, 31 female, can't have kids. This is because of polycystic ovarian syndrome. When I met my now husband, 33 male, I was very upfront about it and told him that I never wanted kids, nor could I physically give him one. He understood and didn't want kids either, so we are on the same page. My husband is the only male child out of 7 siblings. My mother-in-law was furious when she found out we weren't having kids. We tried setting boundaries with her on this and other topics, but she's stubborn. After 4 years of her behavior, we slowly cut off most contact, except for family gatherings and such. She was, for the lack of a better term, third-wheeling our marriage. This past Father's Day, the siblings and significant others got together to celebrate at our home. Husband and I hosted because we have the space to gather safely. Mother-in-law and father-in-law get here. I was going fine until dinner. She had been drinking some. One of my sister-in-laws is pregnant and we were all talking about baby names. Mother-in-law was making a few small remarks about how husband and I would never hold a little bundle of joy like it was a joke. Then mother-in-law said something like, "Give the baby your last name so at least someone might pass on our name," to sister-in-law, while looking directly at my husband. He told her to stop, and she did, for a while. Then we were cleaning everything up. I was in the kitchen with pregnant sister-in-law, and mother-in-law came in and asked how we were. I said, "Fine, how are you?" And she had the audacity to say, "Not that great since my son married you." Sister-in-law told her to stop and that she needs to go back outside. But I said, "No, you need to leave. Go home. I don't want you here." I didn't say it in a rude tone or yell, just firmly. I know she had been drinking and influenced what she said, and I know I was upset and what I said was in the heat of the moment. But she had never once before attacked my husband's decision to marry me to my face. She did eventually leave, with father-in-law making a big scene in front of everyone about how I was throwing her out. Husband was on my side after sister-in-law and I told him what mother-in-law said. But father-in-law is peed off at me for kicking mother-in-law out and how it made her feel unwanted by her family. A few of husband's sisters took their parents' side and think, mostly me, are a-holes. I don't feel like I was in the wrong for telling her to leave, but after a week and a half of sitting with it and talking to his siblings, husband is feeling iffy about the situation and thinks mother-in-law was wrong, but maybe I should have just let it go because we don't see them often. Am I the a-hole for what I did? Edit. Every case is different and every person's body is different. For me, my doctor told me I was not able to have children at all. I can't have them. No chance at all. And my doctor said it was from the PCOS. But it's not like this for everyone. This is just my case. Edit again. I can't have kids. Your case is not mine, nor is your family or friends. You are not any of my doctors. I appreciate the concern, but it isn't needed. Thank you. Yes, I can imagine it's rather frustrating when a bunch of people on the internet try and persuade you that your current bodily ailment that you're dealing with is actually fixable, as if you haven't even tried to figure it out yourself either. Like, come on, Reddit. I'm sure she would have figured out by now how to solve this if she actually wanted kids, or if she actually could have kids. But, of course, I'm sure these people were simply wanting to help. Now, in regards to your story, I think it's quite clear from your mother-in-law only bringing this up after being rather tipsy, shows it was definitely something that's been on her mind for quite some time. And, honestly, if you guys are still happily together, I don't think it's any of her business who her son decides to be with. Especially if he alone is fine with it too. The not having kids, I mean. I don't think you're the a-hole at all. Whether she likes it or not, you are family. I mean, the fact that the mother is treating you as if your requirement in life is to just produce a child for her, if anything, shows nothing less than complete disrespect towards you. Fortunately, this is mostly a generational thing. Understandably, in your mother-in-law's time, that was pretty much all you were required to do. And for many women, that was enjoyable, that was fulfilling. And if anyone wants to do that with their lives as well, where they'll pretty much be a stay-at-home mum and just raise the kids while the husband goes to work, that is okay. There is nothing wrong with that if that's what's going to make you happy and satisfied with your life. But to try and enforce that way of living onto others, that's where your opinion loses the respect it deserves. And that's exactly what your mother-in-law is doing. If anything, the alcohol just brought out the truth. So your decision to kick her out wasn't exactly unwarranted. She basically didn't respect you or really want you there herself anyway. The fact she said that she's not feeling that great since you married her son, yeah, that needs to be taken to therapy. She needs to work this stuff out on her own. She shouldn't be projecting it onto you. Now, I only hope your husband isn't going to backflip on his decision with you, because he did make the right choice to stand by your side. But let's not ramble too much on the first part. Let's see some more of the comments said and move on to the second. Made her feel unwanted in the family? A baby from her son won't fix whatever hole she has inside of her. Not the a-hole. I concur. There's something wrong, and it's not with the married couple who are setting proper boundaries. The husband's not going to have a wife for long if he starts backtracking, stepping firm on his mother's dog poop behavior. Tell you that for free. Free 99 cents, in fact. If the one person who should always, or near to it, be on your side isn't, that's not a great sign. No matter the reactions of others, OP shouldn't have put up with mother-in-law's comments. No one should deal with abuse in any form. There are some lovingly defending the husband, though. Have you ever been gaslighted? OP's husband is getting burned by his family, and he's questioning his own sanity. It's not crazy for him to start overthinking the situation. Seems pretty clear to me. Whether they're gaslighting him or not, the situation does not sound very ambiguous. He's not going to win any points on either side by being wishy-washy. He needs to stand with his wife on this if he wants to keep her and everyone else's respect. Someone responding to the gaslight comment? A reasonable opinion on the husband's behavior. Reddit really loves to tell people to end relationships at the drop of a hat. What? No? Pfft, Reddit doesn't do that all the time. Don't be silly. To be fair, most of the stuff people talk about on Reddit regarding relationships are really bad issues, so it's not that surprising. This by far is my favorite response. It's the responsibility of every person not to be a total a-hole. Should a person choose to be an a-hole, there are natural consequences to those choices. Be a dislikable person, be disliked. It is not the job of people around an a-hole to be treated badly for the comfort of others. The mindset that someone should just accept bad treatment to avoid rocking the boat has got to end. That's just how she or he is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for being a terrible person. Poop stinks because that's just how poop is. But you don't have to invite poop over for dinner just because others don't mind the smell. I am saving this quote to figure out how to chop it down a little bit so I can embroider it in a fancy way and hang it on my wall as a reminder. And here's the update. After my last post, mother-in-law called me and asked if we could sit down over coffee and talk about what's been going on. I said how awful it is hearing her belittle me and my husband for not having kids, especially when it isn't possible and that our decision won't change. I explained to her attacking my marriage was uncalled for, especially in my home, to my face. She gave a non-apology by apologizing for how I felt and said she would make the effort to not say rude things about my marriage or stance on children so that we could have a relationship with her. She followed this apology up with, "You need to understand that I just want what's best for my son." A few days later, pregnant sister-in-law called and told me that mother-in-law called one sister-in-law, saying if my husband didn't marry me, she'd have grandchildren from him, and she still didn't agree with us not having kids. I was hoping she'd be able to change, but she didn't last 2 weeks. I was angry, but I sat with it and read over what some of you said. This is a losing battle with her. There's no forcing her to like me or finding that solid footing. Plus, some of you mentioned that this isn't my battle to fight with mother-in-law. That's on my husband. And you're right. They're not my parents. They're his. I talked to husband about it and he talked to his parents and had a firm conversation with them. I wasn't there for it, but father-in-law showed up the next morning to see us. He apologized for his behavior on Father's Day and his part in it. He went on to say that mother-in-law feels strongly that her son should be having children, that everyone should have children, but that it's not any of her business what we do, nor is it his. It was a genuine apology. He said she made me feel unwanted in a family where I was very much wanted. We cried a lot during our talk. As for my mother-in-law, she has not reached out to me at all, and I don't expect her to. Husband and I decided we will be no more contact with her. We will talk to father-in-law, have him over sometimes, but we won't be speaking to mother-in-law. We're going no contact with her, including not going to gatherings that she's attending and excluding her from those that we host. I felt awful even having this convo with husband about no contact, not wanting to alienate him from his parents, but he brought it up first, which shocked me. A few of you suggested that it was because he was so used to the treatment, and he agrees. It's been second nature to him for so long that he just brushed it off. He sees us now, and he's firmly on my side, which I'm grateful for. As for the sisters, one of them is still firmly on mother-in-law's side, but the rest of them, on varying levels, understand why we're going no contact. I think having a third party here gives some insight, helped me see that this isn't a situation where I needed to just roll with the punches. And I appreciate those of you who helped us on this. Huzzah! Unfortunately, some people just don't change, but fortunately, some people can change for the better. It is very impressive to see that your husband can be so self-aware like that. You have definitely tied the knot with a good man. I can imagine it would have been a tough thing for him to face, the idea of having to confront his mother, see that she's not going to change, and ultimately choose to cut her out of his life, at least for the most part. But even if he didn't want to propose no contact, you still had every right to propose it yourself. Also, massive props to the father-in-law there being able to suck it up and apologize as well himself. It seems like you've got about 70 to 80% of a real good family around you, which is quite a bit more than what a lot of people out there have. Good on you, OP, and good on your husband for recognizing how toxic and cruel to you his mother is and broaching the NC idea first. It sucks that she obviously doesn't want to change, so this honestly seems like the best outcome. You don't need someone belittling you and making you feel unwanted for not having children. Our next story is a quick one. Am I the a-hole for joking to my friend who has a crush on me that you can take me out for $40 per hour? A friend asked me out via text and I basically said no, but it was during a longer conversation with a light mood, so I felt that a light-hearted joke would be fitting. So I basically said, no, but you can take me out for $40 per hour and I charge extra for other stuff. But he got low-key ticked off and said I was being rude and it was inappropriate joke to make, which is stupid because just minutes before he was making crude jokes as well. Okay, so this again is a short one and doesn't really apply much context, so I can only really assist my opinion based off my own personal experiences and things I've ever heard from female friends for the other side. On the guy's side of things, he was kind of confessing his feelings for you. It's like as if you tell someone you love them and they respond with, I think you're A-okay. Like, it would make you feel terrible and weird and stupid for even saying it. The reason I know that on a personal level is because I was the one who said that to a girl who said they loved me. Don't hate me, I was freaking out when they said it to me, I was into them too, but I wasn't sure if it was love or not, so I tried just to resort to humor. I said they were A-okay in response, and oh buddy, that was a mistake. Back on point. You even title it in a way that comes across that you are already aware that he was into you. Possibly that's just you titling it that way for better context, but if we assume that you were already aware, then yeah, you are the a-hole for responding in this way and not just simply respectfully saying no, that you only view them as a friend or only feel for them as a friend. I get that he was making crude jokes beforehand, and so you felt that in the mood of the conversation you'd be given freedom to express in that same way. But it is likely that he was really making those crude jokes as a way to slightly open up the idea of pouring his heart out to a degree. Again, basing it off the assumption that you were already aware he was into you, the crude jokes should have set off the alarm bells for you to realize that he's being a bit intimate and flirty right now. And so if you engage in it, he's gonna get the idea that maybe he can go a bit further to the point of confessing feelings and, hey, going out on a date. Now, however, as a girl, you are burdened with the problem of having to reject and pretty much shatter a lot of men's self-worth out there. While men have that social responsibility to approach the girl first and offer themselves in a sense, as a girl, you have to just make people kind of hate you quite a lot. You have to apply rejection to so many guys who might approach you or express some interest in you to a degree that I can understand if your habit will then be to make it as simple and easy and fun as possible by just, making a bit of a joke out of it. However, just like a guy shouldn't call you hateful words or show contempt towards you just because you weren't interested in them, you shouldn't joke or make fun of and mock someone opening their feelings towards you, no matter the setting. Obviously, if you're at a nightclub and some guy approaches you being all seedy and saying really crude things to you as a way to get you interested, you have every right to mock them and shame them and tell them to back off because you're feeling uncomfortable, and at least I'm assuming you've let them know you are feeling uncomfortable by what they're saying. But if someone who you're friends with and have that trust and comfort with each other tries to just ask you out on a date and your response is to treat them as if they've really kind of pushed a boundary that you didn't really set in the first place, then yeah, unfortunately you are a bit of an a-hole in this situation. Not too much of an a-hole, but you could have been a bit more respectful. Let's look at the comments. You're the a-hole. He just confessed to you and you make fun of him? You're the a-hole. And should maybe consider sparking your comedic routine during more appropriate times. It takes a lot of courage to admit feelings for someone, and you likely slammed his confidence and self-esteem. In my opinion, your comment could have easily been taken as an insult. I doubt this was when he confessed. Fairly sure the person in question was already pretty open about them having a crush on OP. It doesn't seem like the first time OP was asked out by them either. Info! This is all about context. He could be overreacting. You could have taken a step too far. It's pretty much impossible to tell with the little context that you have given. You're the a-hole. Sure, you have every right to not date him, but then mocking him for it? Cruel and tasteless. Not the a-hole. If he can dish out crude jokes but can't take them, then maybe he should rethink his choice of humor. Not a-hole. It was a joke. That's a much better response than, ew, gross, I would never date someone like you, or something to that effect. He has every right to feel how he feels, but he was going to be upset with the rejection either way. Just be sure that he knows it was a joke, and that you're not doing anything to lead him into thinking he still has a chance. Make it clear that you are just a friend. I do like this comment from Direct Strom, but I feel the idea that he was going to be upset with the rejection either way implies that you are allowed to be as rude in a response back as you want. I don't think that's appropriate. Again, I feel it depends on the way they react to the rejection that allows you that permission to tell them to get lost. Next story is an awkward love triangle. Am I the a-hole for being friends with my ex while dating my current girlfriend? Throwaway account. Okay, so I, 22 male, and my girlfriend, 21 female, have had some trouble over this situation for a while now, and I'd like to see whether I'm an a-hole or not. So, my ex from 3 years ago and I are friends. I truly have no romantic feelings for her whatsoever, but it's questionable whether she feels the same way. My girlfriend gets very upset when I tell her that my ex texted me, which I let my girlfriend know every time so that I don't feel like I'm hiding anything, not that she forces me. She will text me maybe once every month or few months and we will catch up, basically. The problem lies in the fact that judging by the things she texts, it's semi-obvious that she still has some type of feelings towards me, or at least wants to control me in some way. My girlfriend has told me she would like me to stop talking to her at all, but she is by no means forcing that. I have told her that I am friends with her because I've been through a lot with her, and she can be a good friend, which is the whole truth. Honestly, if me and my girlfriend broke up tomorrow, I would still never consider dating my ex again or doing anything with her besides being friends, exactly as we are now. And I've told my girlfriend this many times, but it still bothers her, although she accepts it. It was recently brought up again, and I've held firm on my stance. Reddit, am I the a-hole? There's a few things to consider here. I feel like if there was some more context into exactly who your ex was as a person, and maybe some general knowledge as to how you broke up and how that all went, that might help us understand better where she might be coming from, or at least where you might be coming from in this situation. I personally don't exactly have any long-lasting friendships with any of my exes, but I know people who do, and I also know that if I bumped into any of my exes at this point in my life, it would be rather platonic and respectful. I definitely came across problems with them while we were dating that caused us to break up, sure, but there were also things in the past, and things that I'm sure we have both grown and learnt from in relationships. You two as a couple are only 22, 21. I've personally developed a biased belief through what I've read and experiences and what others have experienced to accept the reality that anyone under the age of 25 who is dating is likely not going to last in that relationship. Now, does that mean they're completely pointless to be in and you shouldn't try and date anyone at all until you're at least 25 and your brain has developed a more natural, believable sense of maturity? Of course not. And of course, there are people out there who have experiences that cause them to mature more than others. But it is a reality that many young adults out there simply don't know how to be in a relationship or be proper partners. And so after high school, and you're 18 and legally allowed to be in coitus, most people are just wanting to date because they're horny and lonely. Now, there's nothing wrong with dating for that reason, if that's what you're really after, and you accept and understand that's all you're really craving. But you also got to make sure that's what your partner is also only looking for at that time too, and that their belief in what the relationship should be might change. Now, that was just a random tangent on dating in general. In regards to this, I don't think you need to cut off from your ex. But what I do think you need to do is not feel the need to reply to every single text message she sends you. Especially if you're suspicious she is still trying to get you back. That's the great thing about online messaging, you don't actually need to respond. I mean, you come across as a bit rude, but who cares? Maybe your ex will. But look, yes, you had a past with your ex. She was very meaningful in your life. But you don't exactly need her in your life to appreciate and respect what you guys had. Again, I don't think you need to completely cut off contact with her, but I definitely don't think you need to feel required to have her around just because of your past experiences. If you were doing that with an object, it would be considered hoarding, so maybe don't do that. Let's see what the comments say. You're the a-hole only because of the texts. If those texts are obvious she still has feelings for you, likely flirting, then she isn't respecting your current relationship. Not cool or fair to your girlfriend. She isn't flirting at all, but she says things that make both me and my girlfriend feel as if she still has feelings or still is trying to be controlling of me. But I do agree that she isn't fair to my girlfriend, and I should probably cut off the relationship for that alone. See, this right here is why I think we need more context. If she isn't flirting, but the way she still talks to you sounds like she still has feelings, what if it's merely just her expressing love to you, but as a friend? I mean, I have friends who tell me they love me every now and again. That doesn't mean that I'll ever believe or know for a fact that they are into me in that way. This could simply just be the way she communicates to people she cares about. I think with you supplying this extra info, it seems to be something you need to kind of actually confront her about and just let her know that the way she talks to you makes you feel a bit uncertain whether or not this friendship is safe to have. Especially if you care about it so much like you say you do. I think the worst thing you can do is to just leave it alone until it bubbles up enough that it just explodes in your face one day when you're getting married with your current girlfriend and she's been invited along the way. Not the a-hole, but I do think you should assess whether being in contact with your ex, as you seem to think she may still have feelings for you, is a good idea. While you may not have an issue with being friends, your feelings for her are simply platonic, you're happy in your relationship, etc., your ex may be holding on quietly because she still has contact with you. While it sucks to cut people off, sometimes it's kinder to do so rather than potentially drag their unrequited feelings on and on so they can move on properly. Your girlfriend isn't completely unreasonable to have concerns. Most people don't stay in contact with their exes more than they have to, never mind being friends, so it's a difficult situation for her to navigate, presumably. Ultimately, the choice to continue as you are is up to you, but I hope you'll consider how your ex might be feeling. I think it's also important that you communicate with your girlfriend about why exactly it upsets her, and work through it together. If you are to remain in contact with your ex, that is. I don't think you're the a-hole for having good intentions in staying friends, but I do think you have the potential to unknowingly be one if you're harming both women involved, your ex for potential lingering feelings, and your girlfriend for not working through and understanding her insecurities. Info! Have you made it clear to your ex that you have no lingering romantic feelings and that you view your relationship with her as strictly platonic? Platonic. I swear I know English, people. I've made it abundantly clear, and when I say she's made it clear, it's not that clear. It's more passive. Then I'd say, nah. It's not your fault that your ex still has feelings for you, but your current girlfriend is justified for feeling hurt that you continue to talk to your ex when you know she still has feelings for you. I'd ask yourself if maintaining your friendship with your ex is worth jeopardizing your relationship with your girlfriend. Not the a-hole, but you do think she still has feelings for you and you're keeping the connection with her, knowing this. This is a tough one. On the one hand, I think it's perfectly okay to keep in touch with an ex where you've both been through a lot together and have a solid platonic friendship years later. It's normal to still care about someone you used to love. On the other hand, sounds like she's not over you, and from your girlfriend's perspective, I can see why she might feel that you keeping in touch with your ex is keeping her feelings alive and maybe even giving her hope of getting back together one day. You're definitely not the a-hole, but must tread carefully on this one. Hey, you! So it looks like you've made it to the end of today's video. So, if you're looking at my face, that means you liked the video, so why not prove it and let us all know by liking the video. It really helps the channel out, and I'd really like to one day be making quality content over quantity content, so if you'd like to help me out on that, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can always be updated on the latest of our videos. I have a lot of fun sharing these stories with you, letting you know my opinions on them, and reading yours as well. I do read the comments. I don't always comment, but I read the comments. So if you have any feedback, or if there's anything you'd like to talk about, be sure to do so down below. But with that also said, it's the end of the video, which means you're done with me now, so I'm heartbroken, but I will never forget you. I'll see you next time. Bye!